Are we live now? Which is the name of the show. I wasn't testing that. Hey everybody, welcome. This is Are We Live Now? This is our awesome 45-second pre-show.
Oh, sorry. I definitely just, I wanted to check to make sure that I had everything ready so I can see our comments and accidentally did not turn off the sound. So my bad. Hey, we've got some people here.
Yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. And yeah, how do you pregame for this show?
I don't know. What can we do in 15 seconds?
Oh, I can tell you that I was dancing with my cat earlier. And
Okay.
after about a minute, my cat decided to run away to the window as if it was trying to beg anybody to save him.
Nice.
Welcome to the show. Hey everybody, welcome to Are We Live Now? This is the new live streamer experience. Hey Kat.
Hi, Paul. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Yeah, happy to be back. And I'm excited that we are doing this kind of quick circle back with last week's guest and see how the very first live went. I'm pretty excited about that.
Before we jump into that, do you want to kind of explain what this show's all about?
Yeah, so Are We Live Now is new live streamers talking to other new live streamers and sharing their experience, talking about the ups and the downs, lessons they have learned, and really just trying to get a feel for what it's like to be new to this whole live streaming thing and sharing our experiences as we go and as we learn.
And last week it was great. We had Ron on, and he had gone live a long time ago. I think about 8-9 years ago, but hasn't gone live since then. Was very kind of hesitant to go live, and we very politely encouraged him to try it again. And he did. So we wanted to bring him back and talk and ask, how did it go? How did you feel? And spoiler alert, I think it went really well.
I agree. Both Paul and I were there to cheer him on and support him. And actually, he had so many people to his live stream, which he will tell us about. But I learned a lot from Ron's first live stream to YouTube, and I'm excited that we get to talk to him today. Now, did you want to, every week, we always talk about our last week in live streaming and how it went. Do you want to pop in and talk about that for a moment before we bring Ron back on?
Boy, do I. And that's a little segment we like to call. It has a name. The good, the bad, and the meh? The question mark was not actually part of the title, but I added it.
Meh?
Meh?
I like it.
Kat, how do you want to start, or would you like me to start?
Yeah, sure. I know last week I kind of got stumped and stalled out, but this week I took the time to think about this segment in advance, which is a lesson I am learning. Do a little bit of preparation. A little bit of prep goes a long way.
Me too.
So,
I did prep. I'm very excited.
We're growing. We're learning. This is amazing. The good is that last week on this show, I shared how I was deciding to pause my Friday live streams on my Ditching Diets and Die channel. And I would continue to focus on my live streams on the My Happy Insides channel, my business channel, and really just try and make sure I'm not doing too much, and also keep doing these every Wednesday. So I went live on Friday, really short one, and decided to give that update. And the reason I say it was good is because as soon as I shared the update that I would be pausing the lives, I knew it was the right decision, and it felt really good and in alignment with what I need right now. So that is my good for the week. How about you?
So can I add to your good for a second?
Mm-hmm.
Did you notice the view count for your video talking to people and telling about putting on a pause?
Did I
Have you
wait,
seen
repeat
the?
your question?
Sorry, it was a little muddled. Let me try again. The words I was trying to say is, did you see that you had a lot of people watch that video about being very honest and wanting to put a pause on the show? Did you notice that?
I did actually, because typically the Ditching Diets and Die channel seems to be pretty niche. In other words, most of the views come from my gray hair videos. So talking about going gray, that's where the vast majority of my views come from. But the channel is actually about ditching diets and die. So the videos that I've shared around ditching dieting are much lower. However, I did notice that this short update saying that I was going to press pause on the lives did have a much higher view count than I would have expected. So I noticed that. Yes.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. I was like, maybe it's attributable to the fact it was very authentic and just you saying, look, this is who I am, this is what I need, and people watching and being like, oh, that's very real and honest. Not that the others aren't, I just thought that was really interesting.
No, I think that's a really interesting observation. And maybe if anyone here has seen that little 5-minute update and they want to share with me, or if they agree with Paul, I would love to hear that. No pressure if you have not. Go watch my video. It's 5 minutes.
Bump that view count. I saw a cup. My bread's like. So, should I get to my good? So I want to merge my good and bad into one thing. Can I? Is that legal?
Please do.
Great.
Yes.
Okay. So I realized this has nothing to do with going live. It has to do with a Zoom call. So I was on 2 Zoom calls yesterday, and it was very interesting. And I think what I learned on that, I think is very applicable to live. The first Zoom call I did outside my house, terrible lighting, low camera angle, everything wrong. But I had to do it that way because we were getting some repairs made to the studio. So I had to use a webcam in the laptop, no microphone. I can't control the sun. I keep trying, but I can't. So it was in a terrible angle, and I was super comfortable and authentic and just enjoying the conversation. But then last night, I was on another Zoom call back in my studio. I had control of everything, but nothing was working the way I wanted. So I had to ultimately use a bad camera angle and a bad microphone. Everything was the same from the morning, except I felt that I had failed in the evening setting it up. And then I felt so off during the whole call. Everything was the same, except for the fact the way I was mentally going into it. The first time I was like, I can't do anything. I just get to have fun and just be authentic. The second time I was like, I could have controlled everything. I did not. And boy, what a failure. And then that affected who I was on camera. I thought it was very interesting. Like within a 12-hour period, a good and then a bad. Boom.
I really like your observation about those 2 different things, because in both situations, it was the same result, bad camera angle, and the setup was not ideal. But because in one situation, you had already just surrendered to the fact that it was going to be that way, versus the other one where you theoretically should have had more control, that's what made all the difference. So I think it's a really good lesson in how our mindset going in is really going to frame our experience.
Yeah, and change the events completely. Even though all the variables were the same. It was interesting. Yeah.
And I see Kevin has a comment here. Yes, going into a live with the right mindset is key. It's easy to feel off in some way because things aren't the way we want. Yeah, that's a really good point. And I'm glad that you shared that, Kevin. Thank you.
Oh, also, I would like to share the fact that Love Audio Production mentioned that he's prepping dinner while watching this. Unfortunately, he also told us he's making aromatic duck with hoisin sauce, spring onions,
I love hoisin,
cucumber, and tortilla wraps. So
that sounds amazing.
It sounds so good. Now I know my audio is going to be hot trash because my mouth is watering. Love audio production. You've wrecked this show.
Hot trash. Now, for those of you who are able to stick around till the end, I will share with you at the end about a little experiment that was not expected around food that I think some of you may enjoy. But I'm gonna leave that till the end.
And later this episode, find out how turtles have changed my life. That's what we like to call in a tease in the business.
Okay, well now I'm genuinely curious. Yours was better than mine.
No,
100%.
I found an awesome turtle channel.
So I'm reflecting on my bad, and my bad last week was connected also to my good, which was that I knew going into that Friday update that I was doing live that I was just going to kind of go off the cuff and just share honestly what I've decided. I kind of thought a little bit about it in advance, but I didn't have a whole production, I didn't have a countdown timer, and I did not realize that I had gone live. And that was a first. So I was on YouTube and I looked down at the screen and I thought, what's going on? So I had about 7 or 8 really awkward moments of silence because I legitimately did not know I had gone live. Luckily, the video was so short that it was able to process quickly enough that I could trim off the start so people didn't have to sit through, anyway. So that was a lesson learned. I accidentally went live without knowing it. And what's your meh, Paul? What was your meh this week?
So my meh is my wardrobe. I was thinking about this, and I really need to step up my t-shirt game. I have too many collared shirts. I'm not against them, but I'm definitely meh on them. I need more t-shirts, more variety, not necessarily ones that are like hip and ironic, but just ones that people are looking at like, that's a nice design. But I don't have many. So I'm kind of meh on my wardrobe, which I think is actually a really important aspect of a show because it helps you get in the right mindset. So yeah, that's my meh.
So that will be an interesting thing for both me and also I think our viewers to watch to see how you up your t-shirt game as we go through this experience. So
yeah, tune in next week to see what I'm wearing on an all new Are We Live Now?
If it's ironic, I'm going to call you on it.
Oh, so I can't get like a Baby Yoda, I don't know, writing. I don't know what a Baby Yoda would write to be ironic.
I don't know. CK, tell us what Baby Yoda would write. We would love
that's
to
right.
hear that in the comments. Yeah.
CK, help us. What great ironic Baby Yoda stuff is out there?
See, I will just say that while I have not been really thinking a lot about my wardrobe, I do think about it. And the good news is I've basically thought, you know what? I'm going to stick to mostly black and dark. And then it's done. And I just don't have to think about it. And it's just not a thing. And it feels pretty good.
Smart.
So that's my decision regarding clothes on live streaming.
Oh, so CK says, wow, Paul, I've never considered a wardrobe as part of my show. Granted, I'm always in a t-shirt. As it gets colder, sweater, sweatshirt. That sounds very comfortable, and it can be very stylish. Yep.
Yeah. I was wearing a hoodie this morning, and I was like, is this too casual? I think this might be a little too casual. Although I'm wearing sweatpants right now, so I'm rocking both. What was that?
For my wardrobe choices.
That's amazing.
That's a screaming, not a sheep. Goat.
Oh, I think it is, isn't it?
It might be a screaming sheep. I think it might be a goat. I've seen that video. If you know, let us know in the comments. Screaming goat or sheep. But we also don't have time for this. We should probably get to our guest.
We should. Let's do that. And our guest says goat.
Our guest is so smart.
He's so smart. Let's ask him in person.
Please welcome to the stage and screen, Ron Clifford. Oh, and now you're unmuted, Ron.
Oh, that's good. Thank you. I'm glad. Hey, are we live now?
We are. It's the name of the show.
You bet we are.
Just had to ask.
Now, Ron votes goat. Is that right? You think it's a screaming goat?
Oh, I think it's a goat for sure. Yeah, I think it's a goat.
Mario
But is there
And
a
I
says
think
goat.
we're getting
really big difference
confirmation.
between a sheep and a goat?
Screaming goat, I saw the video, says the cutting edge.
Oh, so we have confirmation.
That's good. It's real-time fact checking.
Love Audio thinks I recorded a banshee ripping through my backyard.
Well,
Well,
you never know. See, I guess we will never know. That might have actually been Paul when he stepped on his turtle. We don't know.
I don't own a turtle yet. So,
Oh,
We're gonna
okay. I
find
thought
out about this turtle later,
we're gonna
though.
find out about the turtle.
mhm.
Wow.
so
Hey,
Ron.
listen, you guys, it was
Mhm.
really interesting when you were talking about this. Like your setup didn't work out like the way you wanted it to. I don't know. You guys have already said it, but isn't it funny? Like, it wasn't that long ago when I didn't have a comfort zone for a set. I didn't have a set at all. And so it was always a little uncomfortable, but now I have my routine and my set, and I've got everything kind of in place. And yeah, when I thought about having to do it and then suddenly not having my things the way they're supposed to be, I got really nervous. It was like, wow, now I got this comfort zone. I've got this thing that's a comfort zone now. I'm in my set. So that's a kind of a new thing. Yeah.
I love your set. I think it's so well set up. And how long did it take you to settle on putting that camera in that position? And how long did it take you to get to that set?
First, my setup was upstairs before I did live streaming. So when I was doing recorded stuff for my students, my studio was upstairs and I was in a tighter space. And yeah, I just started slowly improving. So I ended up having just the regular light in the room and a bright light bulb into a nice thing. And then I got my softbox. I said, oh, I got my studio lights. Why don't I get a constant softbox? I can make it look good. So I did that. And then when I came down to the studio, I was looking around at how to make a set, and I literally held my camera out and I kind of walked around and looked at my background, what's going to look good. And I saw this corner, which was almost exactly the way it is right now. And I said, oh, well, there's my background right there. So the only real addition was putting the lamp back there and then setting my lights up here. And then I knew I wanted my camera right at eye level. And so it's just above my monitor. And I'm in a very tall seat so that I could actually stand or sit and still be at the same height. So I can get off this chair and be standing and it's still at this height.
Oh, sorry, Kat. You were going to say something?
Oh, no, I was just saying, yeah.
I wonder how much I like your set because, like, unconsciously, if I just jump to your set here, unconsciously, I feel like I am watching a sitcom. It's got a very sitcom, and I watched a ton of sitcoms as a kid, and it was very comforting and fun to watch sitcoms. A lot of good ones. I don't know. I wonder if it just kind of puts me in a good mental space because I'm like, oh, it's Family Ties. Or I'm living at a full house.
Oh. Well, we did have a full house at one point. When we
I
bought
wonder
this
if there's
house.
an element of the door and that the door is sort of that entryway and that you maybe picture someone coming through it or a welcoming aspect of it.
Oh,
I know
you're
that.
Mr. Rogers.
Yeah.
Exactly. Paul, that's actually not accidental. That's why there is a coat rack with a coat on it. Because that wasn't there in the beginning, the very first live stream. There wasn't a coat rack with a coat on it over there. And I added that because I had that same feeling about the door and that it feels like home. And there should be a coat rack for people to see that I've come in and I've hung up my coat and I've sat down and I turned the lights on. And although I'm actually missing some of my lights today, I forgot my overhead lights. So it's a little darker than usual.
What a smart tactic. That's next level, Ron. That's smart.
It's things you think about. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you thought about like every episode, like coming through the door and being like, oh, hello there, and then taking off your shoes and walking towards the camera?
I thought about just taking off my coat and hanging it up. I actually thought about doing that.
That'd be pretty
but
cool.
I thought that's too much like Mr. Rogers. Like I'd start singing "It's a Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood."
You gotta find your own your own thing, what's authentic to you, and not try to be
Yeah.
someone else. Although I think getting inspiration, like putting up the coat rack and having that general feel, is a really great way to get started, but not necessarily trying to mimic exactly what someone else does.
So behind
Yeah.
me,
And
oh, sorry,
sorry, I was
Ron.
just going to say one more thing about my set that's unusual is very often in photography, you're told don't backlight yourself. Don't put a window right behind you. Because it does create lighting challenges, but because of my experience with lighting, I knew that I could balance more or less the lighting so that the window is not such a big distraction. It actually adds to the set, which was, yeah, it was a challenge. I don't recommend people do it unless they understand their lighting.
You know what's interesting is that there's so much light coming through that window, it really pulls the eye right into it, which probably knowing you, that was planned as well. It really draws the eye because it's darker around the edges, but the a lot of the light comes through that one window. Planned, Ron? Planned?
So if you watched my live last week, I did a little bit of a presentation, and the presentation is about what you have to look at. And the number one thing you have to look at is the area of highest contrast. And in my image right now, that's a dark hat and my glasses and head against a light background. So that's what you have to focus on. Now, if this was all really sharp, like with a webcam, it wouldn't be as successful. But using my mirrorless camera and being able to soften the background, it works pretty well, I think.
It's like watching somebody and then being told everything you thought were your just natural feelings was all planned and calculated. Everything.
Yes, I've tricked you all.
You got me, Ron. You got me.
It's my evil plan, my scheme.
Do you have anything in your
Now,
set? Oh,
oh,
sorry,
sorry.
Kat.
Oh, I'll let you do the set one because I was gonna pivot there, but if you have a set question, I would, because I'm enjoying this conversation about sets.
Oh, I'll keep it. I'll keep it very brief. So I was curious, do you have anything on the set that puts you in a good mood? That's like there for you psychologically to feel comfortable performing? Or did you do that last week during your live stream? Did you put something? Like, for instance, behind my head is my favorite city, Chicago. I love it. Every time I've been there, I'm just happy. It's a wonderful place. It's where the best improv is. Well, was. But anyways, it makes me very happy. I don't know. Anything for you?
Yeah. Um, I don't think I brought anything. I mean, I have my polar bear, little stuffed polar bear over on the shelf looking at me. He's always good. And one of my Lita lives was confessing that I have a stuffy collection, and I think CK would remember that. And but one of my favorite stuffies is a polar bear, and so he was there watching. But also, I put up my little dog's bed, and so I don't have the camera set up yet, but I'm going to have a little shadow cam. And so Shadow's my Shadow. He's my dog. He's a little 20-pounder, and he's a little bit of a comfort to me. And strangely, he's not here right now, keeping me comfort. I don't know where he went.
I'm sorry. What's a stuffy? Is that just a stuffed animal?
Yeah, stuff.
Got it. Okay. I've
Here,
never.
I'll show you.
It's what all the kids these days are calling them.
Oh, is that what? Oh, I'm so out of the loop.
There's
Oh,
there's my
nice.
polar bear stuffy.
Love it.
Oh. I've been wasting all this
Yeah,
time saying stuffed animal, and you're like, nope, one stuffy. Get it out. One word.
I think
I learned that
maybe
from my niece and
on
nephew.
one of my lives I should have a naming contest for my stuffy. That would be a good one because I don't have a name for him yet, or
Oh, good
her. I
idea.
don't know if it's a her. See, male polar bears have a very triangular head that just goes right into the neck, and a female actually has a neck. So that's the
Oh,
difference between
Oh,
males and females. So I have a feeling this is a female polar bear because she actually has a distinct neck.
I did not know that.
the more
Things
you
you didn't
know.
know.
Like, we need one of those rainbow things to go across.
Yeah, you need to get a new graphic. Things you needed to know.
Yeah, an
And
animated
because
overlay.
of
I
that,
see it in our
they don't
future.
put they don't put tracking collars on male bears, only on female bears, because the tracking collar just slides right off of a male bear because the neck just gets
Oh,
thicker into the body, so it just slips right off.
Huh.
But a female bear has
nice.
a neck that they can tighten it onto, so female bears are tracked
I like that.
with
Kevin
radio.
says the bear facts.
It's nothing but the bear facts, Kevin. Nothing but the bear facts.
Oh,
Uh,
CK loves the idea of a naming contest.
It would be fun. I think I'm going to have to do that. But then I'd have to
since
confess to my whole audience that I have stuffies.
I think
It's
it's
out though.
endearing.
It's out there.
Just don't
Yeah,
let
it's
me
awesome.
near your naming contest because I have a track record of really poor stuffed animal naming in my history, and I carry that baggage with me to this day.
Because,
I
yeah, your
recall you
names are,
discussing that in one of your lives. You would call him like Teddy Bear.
Yeah, well, I already have a Ted. I've got Ted, so I wouldn't repeat if it were mine. If now because it's yours, it would probably be either maybe Ted or Teddy. Well, I'd say Whitey, but probably not anymore. And then maybe
probably not.
Polar or Chili, Freezy.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Or
It would.
actually,
It's all
Kevin.
bad.
Kevin came up with a good one already. That was good, Kevin. The bipolar bear. I like it.
Oh, he won even before
Yeah.
the contest started.
Freezy. Yeah,
You'll have to
I said
show
that,
up,
didn't
Kevin, and
I?
entry in. I'll have to freeze. I'm definitely having a contest. Save this stuff up. Come and join my live on. I guess it's on
Awesome.
Friday
So
again.
Oh, yeah, in the
on that
comments
note,
down below, you'll see his links to his live. So check it out.
yeah. And let's hear about it. So you mentioned the live, you mentioned that you taught some lessons, which both Paul and I learned, and now we're seeing how you use those lessons in setting up your set, etc. So we would love to hear, how did it actually go? It was your first YouTube live. Please share with us.
So on my first YouTube live, I drew from a presentation that I'm familiar with to give me some solid ground, and I just compressed it into a shorter presentation. Even though it went kind of longer than I wanted, I think I still kept people engaged. It's a very image-rich presentation that makes people go, I didn't think about that before. And it was about making images that people connect with, or powerful images. Yeah, so it started off really well. I kind of went live when I was supposed to, and I didn't make any, like, actually being part of the live streaming pros has really helped me know that when I hit the live and I hit the go live, it's live right away. I don't have to wait for anything. And so there's a lot of things that have gone into the background because I do like to be prepared. And yeah, I didn't have a lot of fancy things like this here was my subscribe button and get a reminder. There you go. Because I didn't have time to deal with it. And so you just got to go with what you got, right? You go with what you got. And so I just did a whiteboard subscribe thing. And I'm going to have to team up with someone who can make my graphics for me or help me with my graphics. So I know I could do it if I set time aside, but I know me. Yeah.
Well, reach out later. I'm happy to help you on some graphic stuff. So
Yeah, we'll have to when I have some more time than we had last time, we'll talk about that because I would really appreciate some help in that department. And yeah, Kat, you're amazing too. You gave me lots of help regarding creating a motion graphic for the subscribe. I just haven't done it yet. Just not doing it.
We'll help. We'll
Oh,
hook you up.
Kevin,
We'll
by the
help
way,
you out.
thank you about that graphic. That was made for me by a guy named A.D. Wheeler. And that graphic intro on my site was something I was going to use years. That was a long time ago, and it's old. It's like 6 years old. Oh, so to address that, I did go live. I've gone live in the past, but not really live by myself on YouTube. That's just something I had this huge block about. And so that YouTube live was my first. I even looked through the channel. It was my first YouTube live. I've done live broadcast shows using Hangouts, which is like Zoom, but it's not the same thing. Like I said in my thing, there's people in the room like you I can talk to. So I get really comfortable because I'm in my zone. It's like having your set. Oh, there's people in the room. I feel good. But it was going live to not knowing who was going to show up. But then this great thing happened. So lots of my people showed up, and Lita people and my photography group. And so it was a really active live stream. Lots of interactivity, and I wasn't alone ever during the live stream. So it felt really good.
well, that's what I loved watching it too, is that I felt like it wasn't Hangout. It was a Hangout for you. Like, it was funny that you mentioned you're used to doing the Google Hangouts and just talking to people in a group. because that's how I felt that you were doing it almost. Like the way you were interacting with comments, it felt so casual in a good way that you were just there and present with people and reading their comments and enjoying their comments versus just reading them because you felt like you had to. Like you were reading them because you were enjoying them, which I noticed and I really liked. Did that help to have the comments there to kind of pull? Because it looked like it was helpful.
Was really helpful. And because I know the people that were there, a lot of the people, it was like, just like, oh, we just got together for a get together, and they all just showed up. Like, it's like people I've known for a long time, and so it wasn't really unfamiliar and scary territory anymore. So as soon as I saw that there were people that I'm really familiar with, I relaxed a lot more. It wasn't so terrifying after all. Which is interesting. I did this exercise this week with somebody that has been really influential, and the exercise had to do with asking a repeating question, and might even be somebody in this room right now. But
Interesting. Interesting.
The question was, name a time when I felt empowered, and at first it was a little bit hard, and then suddenly things started popping up for me, and I started to realize that times in my life when I felt empowered were times when I was almost thrust into uncomfortable situations, like literally, I can't turn around, I can't go back, and then this miraculous transition happens from this fear of being in that situation to actually being in that situation, and how it turned around and actually it was really enjoyable, or it became empowering, or I found joy in it, or I found connection in it. And that's exactly what happened on my first live stream. It went from being something that I had fear over, making a commitment to do it, being helped to be thrust into that, thanks to your help, because we talked about this before I went live last week. And then doing the live, and soon after going into the live, having that feeling of, oh, I understand what's going on here. Like, I feel good about this. This is actually a good zone for me. I don't mind it. So, yeah.
I was very worried. Like last week when we were encouraged you to go live and we're like, you should do it this Friday. You're going to be amazing. And there was a part of me who I was like, oh no, I hope he has a great time. I know he'll be amazing, but I hope he enjoys it. And I'm really glad you walked away feeling better. That's great.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I would
really
like to maybe ask for people who are here with us right now, or if you're watching the replay and you go live, do you recognize that story that Ron was telling around once you are thrust in it, you are present and you're there and you just go with the flow? And does that feel empowering? Because I think that's a really great point, is that when you are live, you have to be in the now. You can't be thinking about yesterday. You can't be projecting about the future. You're live, so you need to pay attention to what's happening now. And the more we can actually be present in the moment as we are live, probably the more we will feel empowered and the more we will be successful. But if we're maybe too much in our heads, like we've talked about before, if you show up in your head, that distracts you and it keeps you away from being actually engaged and present in the moment. So I'd love to hear from those of you who are watching what your experience has been like and if that resonates with you. And I see Kevin has a comment here. Once you get through the bit that feels a bit false and forced, you get into your flow and it feels really empowering. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we have Dr. Elo, big fan, loves the inviting set. He can spell the pumpkin spice latte.
I smell the pumpkin spice. It's very home. I'm going to do something for the Christmas season. I'll wait for Halloween to be finished, though. I'll be respectful of that. But I want to do something Christmassy, I guess, in the background. I'm actually looking forward to that.
Nice.
Yeah, add a little something, something.
Yeah, a little something, something.
Oh, CK says, I get a natural high when I go live. So I don't know if by posting this comment, in a way she feels like she's kind of like, it's a micro live right now with posting her comments. So we just kind of help get CK high. It's great.
Yeah.
A little boost.
We're enabling CK. We're enablers.
Oh, and Dr. Elo asked, can you share Ron's YouTube channel and we posted, so I'm talking in third person right now. His channel is in the description. So if you want to find out and watch the show, it's in the description. And people can go and watch your show from last week, correct? That's up on the site now?
Yes, they can. It,
Cool.
it is there. It's the live from last week. It's there, and they're welcome to watch. I appreciate any and all feedback and comments. I have to get used to the YouTube flow. It's making sure I get all my comments and I can respond back because it's not quite as intuitive or easy as like Facebook. So
I was going to say that I highly recommend if anyone watching this has not watched Ron's first live from last week. It is actually a really valuable lesson around photography and what our eyes are drawn to. And before we started this live today, I was sharing with Ron that on my walks outside, I'm starting to pay attention to the lessons that he taught in this in his first live around what your eye is drawn to and the contrasting colors and the different on the color wheel and all this. And I'm noticing it in nature. And it's just really refreshing to just look at the world through a different lens. So I highly recommend checking out that video.
yeah, you're gonna do one of two things. I always find when I give that presentation, people have two responses about a week later. They're all like, "Oh, I see it all over the place now. I see the contrasting colors and the contrast and all that." Or they say, "Damn you, Ron, that's all I can see now. That's all I see."
They just see the world in a different way now. That's really great.
Yeah.
Nice.
Did you say to them, well, that's technically what you were already being drawn to. You just didn't know it.
Yeah, you just didn't know. So I'm just revealing something that's right before you. Like it's always been there, and now I'm just revealing it. It's like when something's been there the whole time and you didn't really know it, and then all of a sudden you see it everywhere, It's like the red shirts on Star Trek. Like when we were kids, we didn't realize right away that anyone who was wearing a red shirt was about to die. And now we know. It's like that poor guy. He's got a red shirt on.
He's going to go first to go.
Sorry.
No, Kat, go for it.
I was going to just tell a random anecdote that made me think of you just don't notice something your whole life and then all of a sudden you do. My grandfather was Scottish, and my whole life growing up, it was just grandpa. And then when I was about 20 years old, one time while he was talking, I said, he has a Scottish accent. I've never noticed before. So this whole time, it was grandpa. That's grandpa's voice. And it was the first time I actually heard his accent. And then after that, I thought, yeah, how did I never put those two things together? It was very amusing to me.
Every time I take my grandmother out to lunch, she has clam chowder and always says, it's not as good as it used to be. But she always gets it. I don't know what that's about. And why do I share that? I feel like I had to follow up a grandparent's share. So that's my grandma. Yeah. I've wanted to make a YouTube channel, not a YouTube channel, just an Instagram channel of my grandma complaining about food, because she does it all the time, all the foods. She's never happy, but she always wants to go out. It's odd. Anyways.
I have a grandparent share too, now that we're talking about grandparents. See, yeah. This pivot is nice. So my grandfather, he used to call me Little George, right? And my name's not George. And then he'd go out in the backyard and he'd get a toad and he'd say, "Oh, look, I found George." And then, my sister was born and she was called Wee George. And then my older brother was Big George. And I thought this was very endearing. We've got all these little pet names. And it turns out later I realized he just didn't remember our names. And then this was his fallback to call everybody Little George, Wee George, Big George, Furry George, whatever.
What? And does that didn't matter what gender, just across the board, everyone's George?
Yeah, just everybody was something George, and he didn't have to remember anybody's name, and everybody thought, "Oh, he's calling me an endearing name."
I'll do that. Like in conversation, I'll be like, "Hey, man, it's so great that you're here," and I act so excited to see the person that I feel like they're gonna ignore the fact I did not mention their name, although many times don't remember it. So.
Your secret is out, Paul.
My secret is out. If I come at you really strong and super excited to see you and say, "Hey, man," I might have forgotten your name.
Yeah. I enjoy Kevin here. Hey, sport.
Hey, Hey, buddy.
Sport's a good one for kids.
Yeah.
Oh, I think Ron wins the grandpa or the grandparent share
That's good.
of the three. That's my favorite. No offense, Paul. The clam
No.
chowder was good though.
And no offense, Kat.
clam chowder
Yours
is
lost as
slap.
well.
I know.
But it's a very grandparent thing to go out and always order the same thing. Like you always remember that. But they,
All the time.
yeah.
Oh, I had a question. Ron, I was curious. Man, hey, man. Ron, it's so great. No, I'm reading him. Did you find yourself doing anything before going live that kind of helped settled your brain into going live? Like, did you drink a glass of water? I don't know. You have like a system that kind of helped you get ready for it.
Yeah, I don't really have a pre-show ritual. I did have some sparkling water before, and then just like pre-show, I just check everything. I run through it all. I make sure my sound is working and on the right channel. Like I just do this check of the technology to make sure the flow is right, because it's the one thing that's so easy to have your mic on the wrong mic setting or have one little thing not quite the way it needs to be. And
I guess for some people.
so that's what I did. And then I tested pulling comments from an old stream to make sure that was still working. And other than that, that was it. And then I literally shut everything down and restarted with minimum things open so that I didn't have anything that was really causing my computer to strain too hard.
That's smart. Okay.
That's a really good point. Well, I am really relieved that our aggressive pressuring tactics led to something wonderful and that you got over that hurdle and that people really did show up for you. You had people from all over come and support you, including the two of us, probably because we felt so nervous that we pushed you so hard. But I'm really grateful that you could come back after the fact and tell us about it. And I think for anyone who watches this that has not gone live and has been nervous and just reluctant to push the button, that you can see that Ron did it and he's okay. He came out on the other side. And I believe you are planning to keep doing it, correct?
Yeah, I am. And I have to look at it. See, time goes by for me, but I should probably plan a regular schedule. I think the most successful people that do it have a plan for a schedule. Even if you do more than you planned, that's good, but put out a plan and don't do less than you planned. And so that's what I'm going to try to do at the once a week as a minimum, and then add to my channel with other content as well as I begin to get comfortable and grow.
Yeah.
And also,
great.
A real quick addition, if you are out there interested in going live but can't quite do that, me and Kat are willing to bully you until you do it. Feel free and email us at arewelivenow@gmail.com, and we will, on or off camera, bully you until you do it. And then hope it goes well.
We bully with heart.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well,
So
Kat
much heart.
does. I'm just vicious. No, it's all with heart. Ron, I know we're kind of coming up to the end here. We always want to finish before 2 o'clock. I think here's what happens at 2 o'clock. If you want, Dr. Elo is doing his live. Dr. Elo, I think you're going live today, and that's at 2 o'clock. So we like to wrap up by 2. I might be spreading lies. I don't know. But Ron, is there anything any kind of final thoughts that you had about going live, your hesitations, your realizations?
Yeah, my thoughts are, what really helped me was just finally just keeping it simple. Like, I have all kinds of technology I haven't opened yet. Like, I have all these plans, and I have all these I would love great graphics and all these things. But in the end, they're not tuning in for that. They're tuning in to hear your perspective on things.
Right.
And so what really helped me was just making an internal decision to showing up with what I would call a minimum kit. I want to still produce a good feed, but I didn't need all the bells and whistles right away. I could just have a decent mic, a decent camera, and understanding how to make it go live. And just do it. Yeah.
It's so important.
Yeah, I think that's so valuable, the idea that just showing up, you don't need all the bells and whistles. They're there for you, they're there to connect, they're there to listen to your message. And you don't need a lot of bells and whistles to share your message.
Yeah.
So,
It's not to say
That's
I won't be adding things in the future, like more graphics or interesting things or changing up my set a bit or whatever. But yeah, just if you want to get started, don't get bogged down by the technology. Get as much as you feel gives you enough quality to go live and communicate. And that's, I just had to get my head out of all the extra stuff, and then it freed me up to go live.
cool. Well, thanks. Yeah, thanks for joining us, Ron.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I really, really enjoy sharing time with you guys.
A huge round of applause for Ron!
so great.
Smart guy. Such a smart guy. I love having him on.
And I'm glad that we could help and didn't hinder.
Yeah.
There's walking a fine line there.
So, final part of the show. Sorry, I'm just kind of jumping ahead because I know we want to be done by 2
Yeah.
o'clock. I think that's the plan. So, Kat, anything that you are working, things that you've noticed this week during your live stream or other live streams that you kind of want to incorporate and try into your particular shows?
Yeah, so something it's something I've actually noticed for myself because as you are aware, I shared that I decided to pull back on my Friday lives on my personal channel. And it's been making me reflect on the overall scope of things. And something I've noticed with my Wednesday shows that I go live on my business Facebook page that I think I need a change that is a little bit more audience facing because I'm still noticing, even though I made a pivot about 6 or 7 weeks ago and I was trying things differently and choosing a different format that I thought would bring in more engagement, I don't think that's actually the results. And so I really want to kind of go back to the drawing board a little bit. So I'll continue to show up live, but in the background, I'm trying to work on what is it that is the best content, I guess, for going live. Because I know that I can provide content that can help people and that can be, what's the word? They can reflect and learn about themselves, but what's something that's a really good fit for that live format? So that's really what I'm working on. I do not have an answer, so I can't actually say specifically what I am going to try, but that's an area of focus for me.
That's
Yeah.
big. That's a huge.
Yeah, it's kind of daunting, not going to lie.
It is, but I mean, that's so great that you're willing to daunt yourself and take that on because that is overwhelming.
Daunt yourself.
Daunt yourself. Yeah. Hashtag daunt yourself. It's when you do something daunting, even though you know, like, it is, and you're like, oh no, daunt yourself. So here's, to kind of go along with that, the thing that I'm going to try to do, I'm going to go live on Twitch. I'm going to give that a shot. And I'll tell you why. It involves turtles. I was on Twitch and there is a lot of stuff around animals. You can watch ducks just hanging out in a pond with music. You can feed them if you want. You can watch chickens. I was on a particular channel with turtles. I don't really like turtles that much, but this one was interesting. And they play music. It's very chill. You're just hanging out with a turtle. He's just kind of doing his turtle thing in his little cage, his terrarium. They probably don't call it a cage. That seems a mean way to look at it. He was in a terrarium. And there are so many things in Twitch that you can do that I can't do on Facebook or YouTube. I was on the channel and you could tip the page, and when you do that, you could choose some sound effect to play during the live stream. So
Oh.
it was such an interesting, awesome level of engagement. I mean, it's so minor, but it was an example of so many different things you can do on Twitch. So you could tip $1 if you want and get a kid to say, "I like turtles." It's from a meme where the kid just says, "I like
Yeah,
turtles."
I remember.
Yeah.
I
Now,
like turtles.
did it make me tip $1 to say I like turtles live on the channel? It did. And what was very cool is that it encouraged people in the comments to talk to each other. Like somebody watching said, "I'm at work and I literally just thought somebody says I like turtles at work." And he wrote that in the comments, and then he and I started talking about the channel a little bit. So it was a neat way. It kind of stimulated a conversation just by another level of interaction. So I just thought that was very cool. And the channel, if anybody's interested, is,
Yeah, please share.
what is it? You know what? I don't have it. I just have Turtles and Chill on my notes, but I don't think that's the name of it. So I will add that to the comments. If you look down
All
below,
right.
I'll add that to the comments after this show of the link. And
And
so,
so, and when will you go live?
oh, when will I actually try that? I'm going to try that on Friday. So
Okay.
yeah, I'm gonna give that a shot on Friday. I might test it here and there a little bit. Also, the other thing, just really quick, that I found is it's called the official Mike Shindoa, which I guess Mike Shindoa created Linkin Park. I didn't know. But
Okay.
he just draws on his channel. But what was neat is that he just had a lot of cool GIFs in the corner that were just kind of repeating. It was just kind of this nice, casual, animated GIF that like looped, but it added another layer of things to look at. I think it was all artwork that he had made. It was just neat to add another layer of something on the page. Yeah, it was neat. So,
I have to confess, I have never actually watched Twitch. I'm not sure how to find it.
well,
I'm guessing Google can help me.
Google can. I think if you go to twitch.tv, that's your best opportunity to find it. I think it's twitch.tv or .com. I think it's TV. Yeah. Anyways, it's great.
So your turtle story was better, but I did want to share this little anecdote about food.
You're all about ranking today. You're all about ranking stories.
I'm ranking all over the place. You win the hook with that turtle comment, but I just felt like this is an interesting little experiment, and if anyone else wants to try it, I've actually really enjoyed it. So, about 5 days ago, Phil, my partner, realized we had not spent any money in almost a week, and he was pretty excited. He said, "I wonder how long we can go without spending money." And I said, "Well, we got to eat, so we're gonna have to buy food." But then that night, I thought, "Hold on, let me see what's actually in this house." And so I went and did an inventory of all the protein, the vegetables, grains, fats, etc. And I challenged myself to see how many days I could make complete meals that actually feed us and are nutritious, and see how long we could go without actually going to the grocery store and buying any more food. And I'm pretty proud to say that I got creative and we made some really delicious meals and some soups and stews and a curry, and I'm impressed. And it was a fun challenge, and I recommend that for anyone who likes a little bit of a challenge, it's take a look at what you got and see how many days you can go without buying food, doing it safely. Obviously, we want to nourish ourselves, but you might be surprised.
Wow, that's interesting. Look, Kat, it was very close, but in terms of challenge stories, you win. Your challenge this week was number one. It was the best challenge offered during the entire stream.
The one and only.
Oh, CK asked a very important question. What do turtles do? I am unfamiliar with turtle things. Well, CK, they stay in one place and they enjoy the sun, and then they kind of walk, drink a little bit of water, go back, and don't move. And that's a turtle thing. And this turtle was doing all sorts of turtle things. Yeah, there you go.
Oh, Kevin, no.
What?
That hashtag is
What can I eat around here? I just have a bunch of pet turtles.
CK, I have Oreos and milk and spinach. You could make a cookie green smoothie.
Oh, and we have some turtle insights from hashtag ex-turtle owner. They bask a lot. Yeah, so if you want to see animals bask, they love basking.
Basking in the glow.
You know who also basks a lot? Robins. Bunch of Baskin Robbins. Anyways.
Womp womp.
Wah,
You-
wah.
Do you have a sound effect for that?
I do, but it's not loaded on the show. But next week,
I didn't see that coming.
tune in for What Shirt Am I Wearing and the Wah Wah sound effect. More bad puns? Probably. Well, any other
Ron
thoughts?
says the Hounds of Baskervilles. Oh, that's funny. And CK, let us know if you make that cookie green smoothie. Might not be the worst thing.
It might not.
So I'm gonna actually say maybe not the spinach, but blending an Oreo into a smoothie sounds like a great idea. If anyone's tried that, let me know. I think that's brilliant. I love like a good old Oreo Blizzard or cookies and cream flavored thing. So throwing an Oreo and some blending it up. Just the spinach might. Yeah, I don't know if I can get behind the spinach, but hey, you never know. Maybe you could hide it with some peppermint. So then it'd be like a cookie with a little mint to mask the spinach. But that feels like a stretch.
I'm a big fan of anything within a smoothie because then it's like a fun archaeological dig, and every time you find a little Oreo remnant or a Reese's Pieces, you're like, I did it, I found it, and it's delicious. Well, This has been a fun stream. Any final thoughts?
I don't think I can top that archaeological smoothie dig.
Mm-hmm. It's like Jurassic Park, but more tasty and less death.
There we have it, folks.
Well, next Wednesday, tune in for an all-new episode of Are We Live Now?
Yes.
And I'm Paul.
Please do.
And that's Kat.
And yeah.
I'm not
We
trying
have
to
not
speak for
nailed
you,
down
Kat.
the ending.
Nope. It's not smooth. See you later.